Hi loves, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I make new videos every other week, so be sure, if you haven't already, you subscribe and turn on my bell notifications so you don't miss a thing. Since spring is coming up, I thought I would share with you guys some of the refreshing spring drinks that I've been having recently, and of course all of these are going to be vegan. I have a whole playlist full of vegan cooking and baking videos, so if you're interested in that, I will leave the link to that in the description box below. So without further ado, let's get right into it. The first drink I'm going to make is a tangerine soda. I'm going to take about 4 of these Halos tangerines. I like these because they're seedless and it makes my job a whole lot easier. And I'm giving these a quick wash before I peel them all. This next step took me around 15 minutes to do. A huge part of this recipe is having patience, so keep that in mind while you're making this. I'm using a small steak knife to take the skins off of all these little pieces, and whatever's left on the skin, I just squeeze the juice into the bowl. And you can always add the skins into other smoothies if you'd like some extra fiber, and you can reduce food waste. Once that's all finished, I'm taking my kitchen scale out and I'm measuring the tangerine bowl, and mine ended up coming to around 143 grams. And I'm going to measure out the same amount of sugar, which is 143 grams, and add that into my tangerine bowl. I'm stirring that until the sugar is all mixed in. Some of the sugar will sink to the bottom when you leave it to sit for a while, but that's completely normal and it won't dissolve all right away. Remember when I said this recipe is all about patience? This recipe is actually going to take 2 or 3 days to make. I promise you though, it will be worth it. I'm covering this bowl with some plastic wrap and putting it in my fridge. During the next 2 days, I'm taking the bowl out in the morning and the night to stir it until all the sugar inside the bowl dissolves and seems like it's no longer grainy. After a couple days, there shouldn't be any more sugar on the bottom, and it should all be incorporated into the tangerine juice to make a really sweet syrup. You can use this tangerine syrup for a lot of recipes, but the best way I've found to enjoy this is a tangerine soda. I'm putting about 1/3 cup of tangerine syrup into my mixture, and I'm throwing some ice in there before I pour a little Sprite on top. You can use plain sparkling water, but I personally like Sprite better. It makes it a little bit sweeter and just a little bit more interesting. Next is the quicker version of the last recipe. I'm going to make this syrup out of grapefruit. The first thing I'm doing is cutting off all the peel on one of my grapefruits, and I'm going to keep the skins to the side for later. Once all the rind is off, I'm going to slice each section of fruit out and put it into a bowl. Once I've taken all the fruit out, I'm squeezing all the juice from the middle piece into the bowl, and I'm going back and getting all the juice I can out of the rinds I saved earlier. Now again, I'm doing the same thing as before. I'm measuring how much fruit is in my bowl, and then I'm measuring out the same amount of sugar into a different bowl, and I'm going to pour both of those into a small saucepan over medium-high heat. I'm stirring that all in, and as it heats up, I'm crushing the grapefruit pieces in there to make a smoother syrup. Once that comes to a boil, I'm turning the heat down to low, and I'm going to simmer that for 5 minutes whilst I stir it constantly. Now that the 5 minutes are up, I'm letting that cool off to the side. Once it's cool, I'm scooping about 2/3 cup of grapefruit syrup into the bottom of my glass, and I'm again putting ice on top of that and pouring Sprite right over it, and that's it. As strawberry puree is the main ingredient in the next 2 recipes, I'm going to start by making that. I'm first taking 5 medium strawberries and washing them thoroughly. Then I'm taking the stems off and chopping them up into smaller pieces before throwing those in my blender cup. I'm then adding in 3 teaspoons of sugar and half a teaspoon of lemon juice. I didn't end up filming it, but you're also going to want to add 1 tablespoon of water into your blender cup as well. I am then going to blend this all up until it's pureed. And that's the easiest way I know of how to make strawberry puree. Moving back to the drinks, I am making strawberry milk. I don't know if you guys grew up on the 50-cent strawberry milk cartons in your elementary school cafeteria, but for some reason I have really fond memories of them and wanted to recreate that here. So I'm taking a half cup of the strawberry puree we just made, and I'm putting that in my glass with some sliced and cubed strawberries for some fun textures. And I'm pouring about a cup of almond milk into my glass right on top of all of it, and there you have it, strawberry milk. This was so good, and it tasted exactly like the little milk cartons. It made me so happy, and it was also so pretty to look at. Finally, we are on to the last recipe. This is my take on a strawberry matcha. I was inspired to make this when I saw the Starbucks Japanese Sakura collection, and I really wanted to recreate the strawberry matcha latte from that. To start out, I'm making some matcha. I poured about a cup and a half of milk into my blender along with a teaspoon of matcha powder, and I blended that up until it was all mixed in. There are a couple ways to do this next step, but of course I went with the laziest route. You could make your own coconut whipped cream, which I've done on my channel before. If you want to see it, I'll leave the link to that down below. But I did also have this almond milk whipped cream in my fridge that I needed to use up, so I used that instead. It was peak laziness. So I put the rest of the whipped cream into a bowl and mixed in about a tablespoon of strawberry puree in it. You don't want it to be too watery because then you'll lose the light and airy texture to it, so make sure that you still have that lightness to your foam so that it doesn't sink to the bottom when you pour it on top. I'm going back and adding some ice cubes to my matcha. This way it gives the foam a little bit more of a stable foundation to sit on top of. And I'm spooning the strawberry foam right on top, and that's it. It looked so similar to the original product. It tasted so good, and I was so happy with how it turned out. I really hope you guys enjoy this video. If you did, please be sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below. If you're interested in any of my other vegan cooking and baking videos, I will leave a link to those in the description box below for you to check out. I hope you all have an amazing week. Stay safe, stay healthy, make good choices, and I will see you guys soon. Bye, loves.